You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Miranda's World. It's my show where everything's about me, just how I like it. My co-host is the wonderful Chris Spangle.
Hello Miranda, how are you?
I am so fabulous just because I'm finally here and I get to see you. I've missed you.
I know. It's been my fault this time because we've been trying to set this up for a couple weeks and I've not been feeling great or I was busy one time, so it's nice to see you.
I know. It's nice to see that you're feeling better.
I am. I'm looking well. I'm feeling well.
He's looking wonderful. He's got a cat shirt on, and I just want to go and rub on him.
We can get to that after the show.
Tickle, tickle.
So how have you been?
I have been so wonderful. Really, I always, you know how I do. America's Sweetheart is back. I'm shedding the evil, hateful cunt that was my outer shell. It's kind of like a snake skin. She's coming off.
Rebirthed.
Yeah.
You've been
back.
Yeah, you've been very motivated to do a podcast. You've been asking to hang out. You're much more social. It's nice to see.
I'm becoming less ugly as the days go by.
What do you mean by that?
You know, my butterface.
Right.
My ugliness.
And your internal and outernal self is outernal a word?
Well, it's because I was ugly. I was mad at everybody.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah, but you're looking...
Everybody was mean to me when I was ugly.
You're looking great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. What do you mean everybody was mean to you?
No, people were mean. I mean, it's just horrible. Like, people would just look at me, like, really crazy everywhere I went. And, like, I mean, people would treat me really, really bad. And, like, one time... And, I mean, I understand to a degree, but, like... Just because of the way my skin looked, like just like the red spots and stuff like that with no makeup on, it still looks like that, unfortunately. But for now, but like one time I was going to the tanning bed, and so I went there, and then leaving there, I was like out of foundation, and obviously Sephora had closed, so I was just gonna go by CVS and see if I could find something, and I didn't have any makeup on because I had just left the tanning bed and blah blah, and like I was like squatted down, like Googling different foundations and stuff that they had there, and like it was so crazy. Like I heard this like alarm go off, and I was like, I mean, like my first like thing was like look at the doors. I'm like, is somebody coming and shooting? Like, do I need to kneel out? Like, how am I gonna, you know? And like, and it was just like the only other people in the store were two black kids, and they were like all American, like really nice looking kids. They did not look, you know, like any kind of troublemakers, and they were legitimately, I could see them looking at something, and I'm just like, well, that's weird. I was like, I don't see anything else or whatever. So I mean, but it was this like weird ass alarm, so I'm like, whatever, I go back to what I'm doing. And then the manager can't come from the back, and he just kept walking around, and finally he stopped me and was like, you know, can I help you?
Oh no, was it the butterface alarm?
Yeah, like they thought I was like, I'm gonna make meth with their fucking makeup.
Oh no.
It really was. I mean, it hurt my feelings so bad. I mean, like, but so obviously, just because like how I would do it, anybody that wants to talk to me in public, I would just then tell them everything they don't want to hear. And so yeah, then I told him about like, yeah, I had a reaction and like this happened to my skin, and now I'm like trying to find a foundation because Sephora's closed, and I mean, like I literally like, and then he was just like, oh, I'm like, yeah, so suck a dick. It's a fucking, you work for a pharmacy, so maybe, you know. But I mean, what the fuck? I wasn't even in like the, I don't know, medicine aisle or cleaning supply.
Right. You weren't.
And I wasn't stealing any. I mean, it's just weird. I wasn't like even holding anything to like, make anyone wonder.
Right.
And it just hurt my feelings so bad. And like people were really mean to me all the time. Seriously.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, that made me just kind of realize like, it was an eye opener for me that sometimes oh my God, my daughter's a bitch. God, I'm podcasting right now.
We have more important things than family right now.
Yeah,
we're trying to get attention.
You want to know what I'm doing? Check into Instagram.
Right. Follow mommy on the Instagram. Jeez. Slide in a DM there. Come on. It's so funny.
I hate her. It's fine.
So we'll talk about your daughter in a second because I got a story about her.
I just turned it on myself.
But so yeah, you realized that it's tough out here for us ugly people. No, but I'm like you say I'm not ugly is what you said off the mic, but I feel like I'm a 4. I'm a 3, a 4. So it's tough out here.
But you know what? That's just it. It's like, it gave me first of all, it gave me an appreciation for how people feel that are self-conscious about their looks. I have been self-conscious about my looks before, but never in a way that I literally would walk past every mirror and hate what I saw.
Right.
Hate myself. Who is that? I have never felt that way. And I've been like, ooh, I look ugly today. Ooh, you know, but it's been a completely different experience. And so, yeah, especially anybody who has something physically wrong with them, like you may feel like a 4, but there's nothing physically wrong with. When you have something that is just like blatantly just wrong with you.
Right, like cerebral palsy or...
or
a cleft lip
just
or
like a big, or a big,
mole.
Tumor or something. Yeah, anything. Right. It's like, you never know. It's like, it's really horrible. I really can't even explain it. People look at you like you're a monster and you feel like one. And so, and then sometimes people say certain things and it's like, oh, really? No, I had no clue that I had this horribly something wrong with my face until you just told me. Thank you.
Yeah, right. And then it just brings all that insecurity about it probably rushes. I
want to fucking fly at them like a flying squirrel and gnaw their goddamn face off. I do.
Which, let's be honest, would be something that a meth addict would do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to go ahead and fulfill their dreams. You know what I mean? Like, you got it, buddy. You're right.
Yeah, so it's significantly better than it was a month ago.
It's getting better constantly.
Yeah. Because you figured out what it was and you're now not exposed to it?
Yeah, and, it's like I've had to throw fits even with, like, different urgent care people and, like, whoever, and, like, I want to talk about the ER people I wanted to kill, but I've had to do, like, because everybody's just like, well, we weren't really sure about what that could be. So, and the dermatologist, it's like she didn't even scrape anything. There was misdiagnosis and, like, nobody cared. And I'm the one walking around. And so, like, the last time I went, I just, like, it was these 2 women. And she was like, well, I can't be certain that that's what's wrong with you by any means. And she was just like, the medication is very serious and and, like, can cause liver damage. And I was like, bitch, I will pull my liver out right now and fucking hand it to you. I swear to God. I'm like, you can have it. I don't give a shit.
Right.
I was like, do you realize I don't give a fuck about my liver? I said, because I literally want to die almost every day and I'm going to end up killing myself if nobody wants to help me.
Right.
And I'm like,
So did you take the medicine?
Yeah, I've been doing so. It's like, and it's getting better. It's something that does take a while. So,
yeah.
My daughter's sending me hateful text messages. Tune into Instagram. Duh.
Yeah, so I was on Facebook.
I'm coming back when I get a new phone.
Good, okay. New phone, who dis? And so I was on Facebook, and your daughter's, what, 15?
She'll be 16 in December.
Okay, so she's 15, and I'm friends with her on Facebook, and I'm scrolling through Facebook one day, and I see just like this straight up thought, like this. There were two girls, and there was one girl who looked like a rap video model, and this like blonde white girl with her as
it's her friend.
Yeah. And then I was like, why am I following Jailbait? How do I get out of this? I've got to get away. I would not have followed this person. What is going on?
She'll do anything for followers.
Because this is not this is not this is not a mom's prom picture of her daughter. So I look close. I'm like, I don't get, why is this going on? And I realize it's your daughter is the girl next to her.
She had a lot of makeup. She does makeup really well, and it's beautiful, but
didn't look anything like her. She looked like a grown adult, a grown-ass woman. And I was like, oh, poor Miranda. Her friend is a whore.
She's not, though. And like, she typically, she dresses really pretty tomboyish, but she actually, she comes from a really good family. But it's really funny because, yeah, that's these kids these days, their thoughts.
But I feel like if I look back to my sophomore homecoming or prom.
Well, the girls were like pose, like turned around on
right.
the door.
Yes, the poses are greatly improved from when I was in high school, but the outfits are not so much. I'm just older. And, like, this is a child, so I'm just like, what is going on here? We need to fix this. We need a solution. Pass a law.
Doesn't anybody care about the children?
Right. So, like, how freaked out are you now that your daughter is a woman?
It does. It kind of hit for me when we went on vacation last year to Florida.
Right.
When people kept seriously, like, every time at the restaurants, they'd be like, 1 check or 2. And I thought it was, like, a joke at first. And I'm like, haha, 2.
Right.
And then they bring 2. I'm like, no. I'm like, why would she pay for her? I'm like...
They thought she was your sister.
Or, yeah, our friend or something.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, gosh. And then, like, the boys did, too. Or they thought I was just, like, an older cousin or something. And I was, like, made me, like, oh, no, I feel good about myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, right. I'm like, you must think I look really young. And then I was like, wait a minute. We lost connection there.
First you made it about yourself.
Yeah, but then I realized, like, oh, shit, that's how they're looking at my daughter. Like, I know how they're looking at me. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, your experience with men and their ogling, I imagine, has to make you even more paranoid, especially, like, given that you had your daughter around the same age. Was it the same age as...
Oh, yeah. I gave birth to her. Excuse me. I gave birth to her at, let's see. I was 16 when I actually gave birth, but I was 15 when I got pregnant. Right.
Okay. So that's got to add an extra layer of anxiety. But she's such a good kid. Like, she's, I don't want to besmirch her good reputation, but she seems like a very nice girl. Like, she has an attitude problem, but she comes by that honestly, Miranda. But,
oh, for sure.
But she's a 15-year-old girl. What 15-year-old girl doesn't? But she does. She seems fairly well adjusted, and
unlike me, she actually has a mom.
Right. Exactly right.
That helps.
You're a ball buster, man.
And I'm not like mom of the year by any means, but I fucking care and I do the best I can. And,
yeah.
I mean, that's just the difference. Like, everybody always says, like, oh, people, like, ask me the questions that, like, don't know me perhaps very well, or, like, don't you want something different for your daughter, like, blah, 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 because of my job. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I fucking work this job, so that she doesn't live in the hood. And that,
right.
It's like, I can't even tell you. And it's so funny. It's like, well, people are like, I know plenty of single moms that don't. Well, that's great. But do you know any that have absolutely no help? Do you know anybody that has absolutely no family members? And I used to, obviously, but I don't have any contact with them anymore. And that was really not very many of them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not nice either. And, when all this has been going on with my face and stuff, it's like, first of all, really, I mean, I mostly only saw them for holidays. It's like, they're always too busy. They've been too busy to, try to do something consistently ever, like with my daughter growing up, as she's been growing up, knowing that she has no grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
They're, you know what I mean? They were always too busy. And because of the chip on my shoulder, I'm always like, I understand.
Right.
But now I'm older and I think back and I'm like, no, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because you shouldn't make time for her, not for me, but for her.
Right.
And they didn't, which is fine. It's like they've always kind of they've kind of celebrated her birthday, I guess. They've made it for some of her birthday parties, but it's like, nobody ever really gives a shit about my birthday. Nobody, and which is fine. I don't care. But the bottom line is, like, you can't come in after the fact, like whenever something's going on that's not positive or whatever, and like, well, blah, 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 and then try to point the finger at me when you've never lifted a finger to help the situation.
Yeah, I think how much of it is because of your job? Because I think in the listener's mind, like, they know what you do for a living, that you're a stripper, and that you have a daughter that you had at 15, and you act ratchet. You're a very responsible person.
But I do that in fun.
Exactly right. And so people don't, like, if you were actually a real mess, I wouldn't be doing this.
Well, yeah.
But, like, so I think people don't have the right perception, maybe, but so I want to give them that perception, but, like, how much of your family do you think just kind of wrote you and your daughter off because of what you do?
But honestly, that happened long before that was my job. And it's just... It is what it is. I've never, honestly, I've just never fit in anywhere. And it's like, they would, you know what I mean? I would see them on the holidays and they would, like, act like they're happy to see me or whatever. But honestly, they, if I if I didn't, it's like if I'm too personality, then it was like, oh, too much. But then if I'm more, pulled in and reserved, then it's like, well, what's the matter? Why aren't you being fun? Well,
Right.
But it's like I never really fit in, and that's why it's like, it's okay for me because honestly, the lack of connection I have with them now just means I don't have to go over there on holidays and be fake to people that don't really like me.
Right.
And that's what it really comes down to. And, since my aunt started talking to my mother again, it's like I just kind of got pushed out. Like last year, they invited me like a couple of days before Christmas to their Christmas thing.
Right. As an afterthought.
Yeah. And it just, and then wonder why I didn't come.
Right.
And also, I just had stuff going on. And also, the stuff had started with my face at this time. And, like, kind of, it was just, like, more like a zit at that time here and there. But, like, at some point, I guess it was around Mother's Day because my daughter went over there to see her grandmother and my aunt. And they were doing stuff. But, like, she came home and it was really sad because, again, she honestly was sad for me all the time at this point. Like, she used to hate me. And now she just feels bad for me. And she was just like, she came home almost in tears and she was like, Mom, she was like, they think that you're on drugs. And she knows I smoke weed. And
right.
So I'm like, I just kind of looked at her and she was like, no, Mom, real drugs.
Yeah.
And, it's really sad that his family members, quote unquote, it's like, if you thought something like that was going on with me, why would you never bother to come to my home
right.
and talk to me?
Like, why not show an act of caring instead of talking shit?
Yeah. To my daughter?
Right.
It's like, if something like that was going on, couldn't we have like when you have an intervention?
Right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. So this is your aunt specifically,
and and probably her grandmother also. And it's again, it is what it is, and it's fine. But it's like I don't have time to. I'm not going to take any time out of my day or my anything to come and hang out with people that treat me that way. Yeah,
I guess, and I've had this experience in my life with certain family members where it's just another disappointment. It's just another person that is supposed to care about you that just lets you down. And you just go, well, that's what I thought it would be. And it's painful, but it's just you kind of get used to it over a lifetime of that.
You do.
And you grow callous to it.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. It's really sad.
Yeah. And it does suck for, I mean, how does...
It sucks for her.
Right.
She has no family.
How does she take it? I mean, is she resentful over it?
No, honestly, she does things. She hasn't really done anything with them in a little bit, but, like, she does things with them sometimes, and it's like... But at some point, she's like, they've made her feel awkward.
Right.
And so she doesn't want to be around that.
Right.
But also, every time, it's really the same way that I guess I've always felt with them is like, I get questioned every time I would go there for holidays and stuff. And basically, it's just like, how big of a shit show are you now?
Right.
What have you fucked up since last time we saw you?
Yeah.
And so I kind of do that to her. And it's like, she's had her ups and downs, but she is a very good kid.
Mm-hmm.
And she cares and she tries.
Right.
And she doesn't need she has enough, problems with feeling bad about herself and self-consciousness about, not having any family members and all the things that brings on.
Right.
And, she doesn't need people questioning her, making her feel bad. She needs people bringing her up.
Exactly.
And it's like, again, instead of asking her those things every time you see her because you don't fucking talk to us any other goddamn time, why don't you be a part of her life and try to fucking take her to do something positive, create a positive hobby or blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm sorry, you're too busy talking shit.
Right. Yeah, those people don't want to do that. They don't. They want to, like, here's the thing. Like, people like that just want to rank themselves above you, and they want the people that they feel better than in their life because they're pieces of shit. Like, they feel bad about themselves, so... I'll just, talk shit about this person instead of, like, taking the time to get to know, like, you're a great mom, she's a great kid, like, you are, to me, an inspirational person in many ways because you could be a complete piece of trash, and you aren't. You are somebody who has fought and scraped and worked hard to get to pretty much middle class, I mean, you know, it's hard to accept, like, at our age that, like, oh, wow, we might be middle class at this point, you know? And instead of, because you just, like, when you're in your early 30s, you don't really kind of think that way. You think, like, your parents are middle class, like, but I'm not.
Right.
You know, but, like, when you really start to, like, sit around and look at it and be like,
wait a minute.
I have a car that's, like, within the last couple of years, you know, or I have a nice apartment, and you sort of go, maybe I'm being successful and I just didn't realize it along the way.
Right.
You know, and I certainly had, you know, disadvantages or struggles in my life, but certainly nothing even comparable to, like, the shit hand that you were dealt as a teenager, you know, or as a young girl. Like, so, like, with where you're at in your life, to me, is admirable, and I want to get to know somebody like that who, how did you do this? Because everybody says, oh, well, you shouldn't, or like, I think it's just easy to, like, take people that you don't think you should respect, rank yourself above them, and just continually use that as, I'm better than them. I'm better than them. Well, I feel bad about myself today, but at least I'm not this person. And it's just really gross and awful, and those people find out about it, and they resent you, and then they give you a fake hug every time they see you. And it's just, people think that if you're that kind of person that does that, just know we can tell that. We hear it.
Oh, yeah.
We find out about it.
And we just let you do your thing.
Right. Instead of...
We're not...
Yeah.
You're not worth the time of calling out.
Exactly. Like, you're actually the piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know what? I mean, most people, most of us are doing the best we can.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, are there things we can do different? Sure, there's things everybody can do differently, but you don't understand people's entire situation.
Yeah. Which
is something, and again, it's been a big eye-opener, just everything I've come through with all that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's been a reminder to me of those types of things. But, you know, honestly, the biggest reminder, and this is what's shittier than that whole thing also, is that people are always interested about me when they meet me. Whatever, or hear whatever. But, you know, it's short-lived. It's like, you know, they like you for a while. They're all about you. And then it's just like, oh, you're just a regular person like everybody else. You don't shit fucking gold. So it's like, and then they don't care. And the thing is, I constantly feel like I am dismissed and treated like shit also. I mean, or just, it's not, maybe treated like shit kind of in many ways, but then also just more dismissed and whatnot, just because of the fact that I have no family. It's like, you know, people treat people differently. We're just garbage people because nobody cares. Mm-hmm. So
I don't want to, like, I want to make you feel better about yourself and just tell you that that's sort of how it is for everybody. Like, you don't feel like you're abnormal, because really...
But I mean, even if it's not based on anything real or solid, I mean, if you have a good family and a good back, like, then somebody's going to come and you're going to get married.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah.
People don't let people walk on you in a certain way, I guess. And
right.
Of course things are going to happen to anybody.
Yeah.
But it's just different. It's a different quality of person that you become.
Yeah. I think... What I've really been shocked to find, and as I really kind of mature emotionally and really, like, get my shit together the last few years, and also working in a job where I see people at a much higher level, like a 50,000-foot view where you see a ton of humans, so you have a ton of data points, because you're just seeing thousands of people a day travel through and comment and interact with you on social media and at work. Like, I'm just really surprised at how absolutely jaw-droppingly selfish most people are. And they don't care about other people as far as it's like snowflakes, for instance. Like, that's vanity. Like, you know, if somebody's crying about racism, they're doing it so you will think that they look good. It's about they're trying to change the perception of them. It's vanity. It's like wearing a piece of jewelry, or, you know, it's fashion, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so that is just really something that has been shocking to me, is just how selfish people are and how little people will take the time to get to know or interact with somebody if it doesn't benefit them. And I am certainly guilty of that. Like, it's...
Oh, we all are.
Yeah, because it's
But it's
hard
different.
Right.
There's different levels of it. I'm sure, because when you're a good person, if you think about it, any relationship you have is a give and take of what someone has to offer.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Unless you abuse it. That's when it becomes something bad. But it's like, otherwise, if you have a friendship, it's because why? What would bring two people together? You have things in common. You have this and that. It's like you both have something to bring to the table.
Right.
Same with, any, type of a relationship. And it's just when you become one-sided with it and you don't feel like you have to give back or you're selfish all the time, that's when it is a negative.
Yeah.
And a stupid thing.
Well, it's so Elaine Aron wrote a book called The Undervalued Self, and she introduced the concept of linking and ranking. Where your family members are ranking and talking shit, then like people like you and I are linking and having these moments where we connect with each other. And so that's the basis. All human interaction boils down to those two things. Are you like linking with somebody in a positive way, or are you ranking yourself above them or below them? Like, so, we look at people who are really good looking and have what we want, and we rank ourselves below them, and then that causes self-esteem problems.
That's true.
But what else I've found is that most people like that you want to immediately dismiss as like a quote unquote bad person, almost every human being is doing the best they can with the resources given. And if they had better resources, and that includes better emotional and mental support, like where you're talking to them and like helping them see a different point of view, there's just very few people that I've ever met that like they're just bad people.
Yeah. You ever like grumpy ass old people? Guess what? What if they, you know what I mean? It's like after a certain time, and especially going through what I did, you see it's like after being treated a certain way for a certain length of time, you become hateful.
Right.
It changes you because it's just it's what you've been conditioned to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it is disgusting as a society, that's what we do, and that we, because no matter what, it's like, if we have a friend, we should be networking. We should be networking in any way that we can to benefit one another.
Right.
But again, it's just that using people mentality that so many people have. And I think maybe somebody shortchanged them along the way, and maybe that's what's pushed them there. But it's like one of those things when we realize something like that's going on, we need a eye opener and say, hey, like, what can I do to be a better person?
Yep. There's really only 3 people in the thousands of people I've met over my lifetime that I can just think like, this is a bad person, and they're just making bad decisions because they're bad people. Like, like they're just awful. Like one of them posted an Instagram the other day where she was like patting herself on the back for how she's not this horrible person anymore. And it's just like, no, you're still that person. You just pretend that you're that.
Yeah, exactly.
You pretend that you're better.
You've got a nice facade working.
Exactly right. You're lying to yourself and everybody else, and we all can see it, and you look like a fool. But like, it's just, most people just want some help. Or somebody to talk to them and take an interest in them. Yeah,
I mean, they want to relate and like feel like, okay, maybe you know what I mean? Yeah, we go through similar things. Like, okay, it's like I'm not all alone. I'm not the only person going through this. There's not something wrong with me.
Right.
But it's like, that I don't understand that. It's like, it's like when people genuinely, usually when they are shitty, it's genuinely a direct result of how they've been treated.
Yep, it's pain coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what scars us, and then we all hate it. But I see it's time to wrap up.
Yes, it is time to wrap up. Leave on a happy note.
Yeah. Well, on that happy note, the nudes are back.
Yes, give us some good news about your boobs.
No, I said nudes.
Nudes.
News. I mean, what about my nudes? Oh, there's news about my boobs. They're still there.
Yay. They look fantastic. So you're wearing a very
it's a bodysuit,
evocative outfit with no bra on.
My pants are feeling super tight also, so
that just means you got a fat ass, girl.
I had to seriously, I mean, I felt like I was doing like a legging when I was pulling these jeans over my thighs. Like I thought, dude, they could rip at any time.
Well, I'm into it. Honestly.
The viewers aren't going to see it because they can't see my pants, but you're going to know what's going on down there.
All right. So that is all for this episode of...
Well, take us out, Chris.
Thank you for joining us here on this episode of Miranda's World. You are listening to Miranda Barnett. I'm Chris Spangle here on the We Are Libertarians Network. And we thank you so much for joining us. And listen, reach out and touch someone today. I'm going to touch Miranda after the show. and make sure that she feels
He always does.
a nice connection between the two of us. And be nice to each other. That's tell people how to be nice to another human being.
Be nice. I don't have to tell you how to do it. You're going to have to use the things that come up to you every day in your life. But just think about it and be fucking nice.
Say goodbye, Miranda.
Goodbye, Miranda.
Thank you for listening to the We're Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at we'relibertarians.com.